Hello guys, today I'm gonna be talking about skins that haven't been unboxed yet, even though they maybe should have. Now, Mexskillet made a lot of videos about this, sadly not a recent one. Heyzeus did one year ago. However, this isn't really an updated video, because as you can see in the thumbnail, he's got the Bayonet Ultraviolet, which since his upload has actually been unboxed, not only in StatTrak Factory New, but actually the best float out of all Factory New ones, which is really crazy. The only StatTrak Factory New, and it's the best float, better than all the other non-StatTraks. That's crazy. Now, because all of the videos that I could find were not really up to date, I decided to make one of myself. But before I continue with the list, a word from Skinport. Now, if you don't know what Skinport is, it is a CSGO marketplace, and actually one of the best ones. What makes Skinport so good? Well, they are fast, they are smooth, and they are very secure. And as soon as you sell a skin, you get that money quickly with a bank transfer in your local currency. They also have a huge selection of skins, 182,000 skins, and their prices are a lot better than if you're, for example, buying skins from the Steam market. For example, if you're buying a Bayonet Tiger Tooth, it's gonna be over 400 euro. But if you're buying that same skin on Skinport, it's gonna be more than 100 euro cheaper. And if you're selling your own skins, then you get real money to your bank account. Also, if you missed it, me and Skinport are doing a very nice giveaway on my Twitter for a Talon Knife Tiger Tooth, $440 value, and the winner is being picked in 7 days, so you can join that one. Link is in the description. It's completely free. So thank you very much, Skinport, for sponsoring this video intro, and now let's get on with the list. I don't think there should be any errors in this because I looked at all of the websites that I could find in all the databases, and none of these skins that I'm going to list actually was found anywhere. And now, please mind you, many of these skins are kind of boring because many of the rare skins aren't really rare and cool, they're just really rare. First skin in the list, the Nomad Scorched StatTrak Factory New. Now, for the examples, because they don't exist, I'm just gonna use a non-StatTrak Factory New. Sadly, this one doesn't exist, even though if it existed, it probably wouldn't be very expensive, maybe a few $100s. But definitely, I don't think over 500-600, because it's just not a very attractive skin. Now, this knife can only be found in the Shattered Web case and the Fracture case, and there's quite a lot of those cases, so I expect this one to actually be unboxed in not too long. Or at least, I think it will be unboxed in the future. Next skin is also a Nomad, the Nomad Night Stripe StatTrak Factory New. Now, if you don't know, the Nomad and all of the newer knives only exist in Night Stripe and not the old Night. I'm not sure why they did it. Maybe it's because the old Night variation was a bit too simple. I'm not sure. However, I like both, but I would say I'll prefer the old Night better than the Night Stripe because the handle would have been a different color and there wouldn't have been this pattern. It almost looks like a dark urban mask, which makes it, in my opinion, look kinda cheap. This knife can also only be found in the Shattered Web case and the Fracture case. So I think eventually in the future, this one is definitely gonna be unboxed. Next knife that hasn't been unboxed yet, StatTrak Factory New Ursus Forest Didipat. Now, I was pretty surprised that this one hadn't been unboxed yet. I would have thought that it should have been unboxed by now, because it's dropped from both the Horizon case and the Danger Zone case, both of which are not that expensive, at only 0.07 or 8 euro, and there's a lot of them listed, but apparently it hasn't been unboxed yet. I think this one is gonna be unboxed in the future, however, I'm not sure, because still, it's been so long and it hasn't been unboxed yet. I'm actually a little baffled. All of these weird skins, by the way, in StatTrak Factory New are not gonna be very expensive, because even though they are that rare, there's still very little demand from people other than real collectors. Next skin, another skin that I thought would have been unboxed by now, StatTrak Ursus Boreal Forest Factory New. I was very surprised when I found this as well, that not the Forest Didipat or the Boreal Forest had been unboxed in StatTrak FN, but however, this seems to be the case. This one, of course, also is only available from the Horizon case and the Danger Zone case, and wouldn't really be that expensive if it was unboxed. Next skin, another Ursus knife, StatTrak Factory New Ursus Knife Ultra Violet. As you can see by the float of this one, this is the best non-StatTrak FN. The float is insane! And by now, there should be one unboxed in StatTrak FN, but there just isn't. So this one, I think, would fetch a definitive higher value than, for example, the Boreal Forest or a Safari Mesh or Scorched Knife, because this one actually doesn't look half bad. Sadly, however, it hasn't been unboxed yet, and this is actually the last Ultraviolet to not have been unboxed yet. Because as I said, the bayonet, which Heyzeus mentions in his video, has now been unboxed. The Ursus Ultraviolet is only available from the Prisma case and the Prisma 2 case, both of which are readily available and very cheap. Next up, the first cool knife, we have the Talon Knife Safari Mesh StatTrak Factory New. Now, as I said, the Safari Mesh really isn't a very expensive skin. However, this one in StatTrak Factory New I still think would fetch a pretty decent price. And this one also is only available from the Horizon case and the Danger Zone case, where most of the Ursus knives that aren't yet unboxed were from. So guys, we gotta start opening Horizon and Danger Zone to get these knives. Next up, a very cool Talon knife, again, the Night Stripe. StatTrak Factory New has not been unboxed yet. Also found in the Horizon and Danger Zone cases, this one I quite like. Thank God it's available in FN, because I really like how clean this looks, and I think the overall model of the blade fits well with the Night Stripe Spec Ops shady qualities of this skin. Next up, we have the Paracord Night Stripe again. For some reason, it seems many of the Night Stripes just aren't available in Factory New. I'm not sure why. Many of the other float-capped skins from these cases have been unboxed. For some reason, just not many of the Night Stripe variants. This one as well, I think would be decently expensive, but nothing crazy. Not at all, for example, the same price as a Crimson Web Factory New StatTrak, but still, it would be pretty expensive. This one as well is only available from the Fracture case and the Shattered Web case. Next up, another really shit skin, Survival Knife Scorched StatTrak Factory New. Only available from the Fracture case and the Shattered Web case again, this one has not yet been unboxed, but as I mentioned, Scorched, not a very expensive skin, in StatTrak Factory New would probably not break maybe over $500-600 in my own guesstimation. But I guess over time, many of these ones from the Horizon and the Shattered Web cases will be unboxed. It's just a simple matter of time, because those two cases are still readily available and very cheap, and being opened like wildfire. Next up, sadly, another Night Stripe, Survival Knife Night Stripe, StatTrak Factory New. It hasn't been unboxed yet, and I'm really starting to get confused why so many of these Night Stripe skins aren't available in StatTrak Factory New. For example, the StatTrak Skeleton Night Stripe FN literally has 2 unboxed, but for some reason, these other knives just don't have even a single one. Thank God the StatTrak Skeleton Night Stripe has been unboxed though, because this is really good looking. Next one, Skeleton Forest DD Pat StatTrak Factory New. This is actually the only StatTrak Factory New skeleton knife that hasn't been unboxed yet. So, not really that sad, because the Forest DD-Pat is a really shit skin, but still, would have been nice to have all of the skeleton knives available. Next up, we come to a large segment of the list, the CS20 case. Now, as all of the classic knives are only available from the CS20 case, meaning one single case, when most knives are available from several cases, at least 2, it makes the classic knives very expensive, especially because the CS20 case only has 200,000 listed, which sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. And they're going up in value because a few months ago they were listed for 0.06, they went up to 0.3, and now they're leveling out at around 0.14. This means that overall, not as many CS20 cases are being unboxed and not as many classic knives are being opened, which brings us to the the first classic knife, the Boreal Forest StatTrak Factory New. It hasn't been unboxed, and maybe it won't be because the supply isn't that big. So these classic knives I list as more rare than the other knives on the list because they're only available from one case, which is getting more and more exclusive. Next one, also a classic knife, the Urban Masked StatTrak Factory New. Not yet unboxed, and same prediction as for the Boreal Forest, it might not get unboxed, but hopefully it will. After this one, we're moving on to better classic knives, the Night Stripe StatTrak Factory New. It has not been unboxed yet, and sadly, it may never, because this one, as we've seen from the other knives, Night Stripe seems to be very rare, and since I said the CS20 case is pretty limited, maybe this one will never be unboxed. And now for the arguably rarest classic knife on the list and the most wanted, StatTrak Crimson Web Factory New Classic Knife. Hasn't been unboxed yet, and this one may actually never be unboxed. Because as I said, not as many CS20 cases are being opened as the other ones, and this one is extremely rare, but hopefully someone manages to open this one in the future. And now for the last item overall on my list, which in my opinion, and probably everyone's opinion, is the absolute rarest knife that hasn't been unboxed yet. You might not believe it, but the M9 Scorched StatTrak Factory New hasn't been opened yet. It's literally available from 11 cases, but the problem is it hasn't been unboxed yet, and all of these cases are really expensive now. The cheapest cases on this list is the Phoenix, which goes for around 80 cents, the Vanguard, which also goes for around 80 cents, and then the Revolver case, which goes for 10 cents. So basically, the last hope of us unboxing an M9 Scorched StatTrak Factory New lies within these top 3 cases, because the other ones are very expensive. For example, the weapon case is over 40 euro now. Sadly, there's only 300,000 of these cases listed on the market total, so this knife is a knife we might actually never see unboxed. Thankfully though, it's only a Scorched and not like a M9 Crimson StatTrak Factory New, because that would be painful. So this, in my opinion, is the rarest knife that hasn't been unboxed yet. Now, as I said, Heyzeus made a video about it, and he talked a lot about the Black Pearl minimal wear knives. Now, I really wanted to only include the StatTrak Factory New versions of the knives, because all of the other non-StatTraks exist, and all of the StatTrak Factory New Black Pearls exist, but I'll quickly go over the Black Pearl minimal wear StatTraks as well. As Heyzeus calculated, there is a 1 in 66 million chance that you unbox a minimal wear StatTrak Black Pearl. In his video, he said that the ones that don't exist are StatTrak M9 Black Pearl minimal wear, StatTrak Huntsman Black Pearl minimal wear, StatTrak Bowie Black Pearl minimal wear, Navaja Black Pearl StatTrak minimal wear, StatTrak Stiletto Black Pearl minimal wear, Ursus Black Pearl StatTrak minimal wear, and finally he also said that the StatTrak Talon Black Pearl didn't exist, but this one has actually since been unboxed. So there's only 6 ones missing, but since they're minimal wear, I don't really count them as really being that wanted by most people. However, yeah, these are really technically the rarest knives that haven't been unboxed yet. These 6 different Black Pearl StatTrak minimal wears. Now, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This little updated list of the rarest skins in CS that haven't been unboxed yet. The craziest one definitely being the M9 Scorched, which hasn't been unboxed since it first became available in 2013. So thank you guys for watching. Now I'm going to go deposit some money into my Steam account and hopefully open up one of these very rare knives that don't exist.